Is it working? I think it's working. Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. We are going to do today something special. We're going to be doing a live stream. This one is usually the elite private sessions, but I had a conversation with the elite members, and for the time being we are going to be streaming this live publicly. Usually we do the live privately, and then on Fridays this goes live to the rest of the people, but we're gonna go straight live, and we're gonna do a reshuffle of the perks for elite members in the upcoming weeks. So stay tuned for that, elite members. Do not worry, this is not less value for elite. We are actually looking for better ways to compensate you being an elite member. You're always gonna be the first priority, so don't worry about that. In this video we're gonna do a wrap up of Bitcoin price action. It's going to be very short because there was already some TA going on in the morning video. And primarily in this video I'm gonna cover altcoins, which have been decimated. If you haven't been aware, it's been really bad for the altcoins. So in today's video I'm gonna cover all the altcoins that elite members requested me to do TA. So we're gonna cover top market cap tokens. I can tell you at least we're going to do Ethereum and Solana, that's for sure. We're going to also cover some AI coins and some privacy coins, so stay tuned for those. Some of them have been pretty decimated, and I did a very quick look on some of them, and some of them are showing areas of significant value in terms of weekly support. If you want me to do to include some other coins and you want to be the first one in the list, obviously you have to become an elite member. But once I'm done with the request from elite, I'm gonna go straight into your questions in the live chat. So if you're not an elite member, I still have time before the end of the hour. I'm gonna cover in order the coins that you put now in the chat. So make sure that you put it first so we have time to do yours. Yeah, hit the like, subscribe. Let's get on with the sound. I guess the sound is good. No one is saying anything bad. We got a good morning, her Mariano, caramba. So it's kind of a mix between German and Mexican this morning. It's gonna be a fun one. So I promise. Let's go with the daily time frame. Daily time frame at the moment is very clear to me that nothing has broken. There's been some erosion here, as I call it, this morning with this double top or equal highs on the daily on the RSI, and that has come from the fact that even though we already had priced in, as you can see in here, late November into early December, we have this move of the momentum. So that was Bitcoin pricing in the 25 basis points, and there was no element of surprise in that end. But then after post the cut, there were some conversations where basically there was this thing. Yeah, that's the elephant in the room, the 80% of no change coming in late January, and that is possibly something that is spooking temporarily the markets. We'll see if that stays like that, because obviously this is not in the best interests of Trump. So Trump probably is going to do anything that he can to get this to change into an additional ease, and not just a 25, potentially a 50 basis point if he can manage to do so. The damage overnight has been a breakdown on the 4-hour. Now the next task at hand for the bulls is to reclaim this, to go back above the 51 RSI on the 4-hour. And if we can do that, we can start calling this a fake out to the downside. That will be fantastic. And by doing that, we can actually go and hit this level there. So that level where the shorts that were entering at the equal high right there at 94,500, they managed to get away with that, to push the price slightly below 90K overnight. And now we are bouncing with not a lot of momentum, just coming back to that 90K, barely holding the 90K. At times we go slightly below it and we reclaim it. And I feel like that we have taken a bullet on the 4-hour. On the daily, there's still no significant damage. So we can still potentially, if we come back down into 43, into that level once again during the day, if that holds, which currently is 89,600 on a daily candle close, we have an opportunity to still execute the next leg up of this potential breakout to the upside on the daily time frame. The odds are looking a bit thin, so we're definitely gonna need help from general markets. I was looking at general markets this morning, and there was some sort of flip. Overnight, things were down on the NASDAQ and up on the S&P, and then overnight things reverse, indicating that potentially NASDAQ is gaining momentum. I don't know if that's still the case by now. Let me have a very quick look. It's very important that we track general markets, guys. If the NASDAQ, it's still reverting. It's actually even higher now. So for the day, it went down to 25,300 and it came back up into 25,600. So that is reverting. And if we look, is the market open? No, that's still from yesterday. So let me look at the S&P, and S&P pre-market is down. So there is back this flip and reversal. So risk on was selling off and S&P was going up, and overnight things are rebalancing, and that could help Bitcoin to hold that 90k. So crossing fingers for the bulls to hold that 90k, because below that 90k it can become a fast move down. And let me show you why. That is because we are in the context of a bear flag, and we are right there at that support around the 90k. So anything that crosses this on a daily candle close, and you get a significant red below there, then we come back, we retest, and we can puke to where? To 74.67. That's the target of this flag. So that's just technical extension of one, nothing really obscure in here. It's just basic TA. And if we manage to hold this and we continue to hit these pivots, well, we put on the table a move into 107. So really no clickbait, thumbnails, none of that. This is just technicals, okay? The technicals are there. There's nothing clickbait. Everything is sustained by pure technicals. If you don't believe me, well, whatever. But those are technicals. Anyways, how many times I say technicals? Let me know in the comments. And if you get it right, I'll do TA of Ethereum next. Okay, let's go with Ethereum. For that, I'm going to use a few elements before I go into the chart. I want to see crypto Quant. How are things on Ethereum looking this morning? We got retail orders on spot, retail orders on future. That's interesting, because I was reading on Twitter a lot of people saying that Ethereum is being bought up by whales, that there is an ongoing buying, strong buying. And I can see in here in red, you can see the retail orders, and in green the whale orders. So potentially they were buying as we were coming down, but now at the bottom more retail orders are entering. So I don't know if that is still the case, that we can say that whales are buying at this precise point. Not fully sure. We got the bubble map though, and the futures bubble map, the spot and the futures cooling down, which is good, and the taker buy has been dominant in a rolling moving average across the past 90 days. Let's go straight into Ethereum. Let me load this on Binance, because that's where I have all the charts. So let's focus first on the RSI. And yeah, I already kind of finished my coffee, and I'm showing you that I'm not having any drink this morning. It's just pure coffee and milk. Let me know what you're drinking. People are having coffee at the moment, so good. That keeps you concentrated. 46 is the resistance on the weekly RSI, and we were tapping that. And actually overnight, when they were giving the 25 basis points, Ethereum was on the weekly putting a breakout, and that would have been great, because when we were around here below this white line, I say that the best scenario that I'm envisioning for Ethereum as we go into the year end and early 2026, if Bitcoin doesn't really puke big, the upside potential, the bull scenario, is maximum to get to 60. That's what I put there. And basically, I drew this trajectory, which starts from the last time I did Ethereum, which is in late November. So far, we have progressed this, and we've been for a moment above the 48. That was really promising. But the cool shower of the no change scenario is what's currently keeping people, traders in general markets. Where do we go? And it's back and forward overnight. So there has to be in the next 24 hours a decision on whether general markets are going to be able to sustain a rally, or if we're going to start selling off. So far, Ethereum is just right there under that resistance and not taking the final decision. You can see how it went beyond that level of resistance. That was 3.2K, and it rallied all the way to almost 3.5, but then it got sold off back below weekly resistance. So it's just trap still there. Now, you could argue that there are wicks to the downside, there are wicks to the upside, but we are in a context of three green soldiers or white soldiers, call them however you want, and after a massive sell-off. So this from top to bottom is 47. I mean, it could be worse, right? So this one here, the prior one was 66. So it looked much more significant than what it actually is. It's just 47. But this could be the beginning of a dead cat bounce. We got some incoming resistance at 3.5 and then 4,000. We have broken this pattern. This triangle is no longer important. So I'm gonna get rid of this triangle. This line was so significant up until here. Past that, it's no longer being respected. So possibly it's this area here with the 2.6 next for a leg down, but we have the 3.5 immediately above us. That's the biggest level of resistance at the moment. Let's look at liquidity, because clearly on the daily we broke out, and that breakout on the daily is still not damaged significantly. It's the same with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I show you on the daily, on the RSI, is just jumping on the line. It's jumping on the trampoline, and it's not yet breaking it on the daily. So 4 hours just making noise. If I go in the 4 hour on Ethereum, it's also making noise. But from bottom here, this channel, you can see that we are even further away than Bitcoin from that support. We just tested that, and we are accelerating on Ethereum. We got that red candle in there. It's still not engulfing. There is a rejection. Yeah, that one looks a little bit ugly against that resistance. We are trying to re-enter the 3.5, 3.6. That band there is going to be the toughest level. Our risk is currently located at $2,000. That's the level I still continue to think that if I get there, that's an opportunity for me to average from the 3.8 small position I enter. Let me think. Do we still have the opportunity to produce an inverse head and shoulder in here? I think so, but of course, we would like to, as soon as possible, get into the 3.6, get a rejection there, and then come back there. If we cross the 3.6 and we put candle close about 3.6, then we are done. We get a reclaim of previous support, now resistance. If we do it straight away, we do it as a cup and handle, which is basically an inverse head and shoulder without one of the shoulders, of course. So daily looks good for Ethereum. We haven't broken anything. No bone has been broken. Just a few scratches from last night so far. Let's go with the next one. The next one got 5 votes and it's not crypto. So some people are gonna throw me the slipper in the face, but that's fine. I'll convince you that it's worth looking at this asset, because if you are not just trading crypto, if you're trading silver, gold, you probably want to hear about this one. It's called Van Eck Rare earth and strategic metals. They've been rallying, and it's totally worth having a look at this setup. I didn't come up with this. This is one of the elite members that has been asking for a while about this asset. And we got a very similar setup, but this is well ahead of what Ethereum has done. So it's progressing faster than Ethereum. As you can see, well, anything is progressing better than crypto at the moment. All eyes are on metals, all eyes are on AI and big tech, Magnificent Seven and all of that. Whenever there's something positive, those are the ones that rally, the rest are lagging behind. Crypto is not the cycle of crypto, definitely. In here you can see that, how am I going to call this? Remix, let's call it remix, had a head and shoulder or a bearish formation in here that has definitely already hit the technical target, and now it's coming for a revenge back in here and forming a cup and handle. This is on the weekly time frame. I had this target there, and I'm guessing that this came from doing some recent TA on this, but the cup and handle is already completed. It's ready for the picture. All it needs to happen in here is for the price to break. To break what? I will say I'm kind of divided in here where to place the neckline. I feel like the neckline is 74 because that was the previous support. It was tested multiple times in here, but since we already put some candles above that and some wicks above that, I was tempted to put it at 80 because I saw the picture from here. But now I'm going to pull it back. I think the neckline is at 74. And if this breaks out from that level, let's do the full calculation. That has a target of 115. That is pretty much a 53% on a non-crypto asset. Let me see the daily, because I think on the daily we could be seeing some more detail in here. Oh yeah, on the RSI, I left this from the previous analysis, and I say that as we approach this channel to here at the 40, that will be a great opportunity. I hope I say that. If I left these lines, I should have said that, but I don't remember if I say that, to be fully honest. But the 40 bounced perfectly, and now is right there at the final neckline for breakout. Momentum has had a local breakout and is already in progress on the daily. So if we go back to the weekly, we can see that this is already happening from the top of the channel. So yeah, I'm gonna have to downgrade that target. So the target is 115, but let me do some waka on the weekly, because on the weekly we have a breakdown in here. So we could be already on rare earth, on remix, on a channel down. Now this channel down could still give upside. And we have been rejected from the golden pocket from top to bottom. We tried to enter the golden pocket and we had a rejection. So I will say, if this breaks out, careful when you get on the weekly to around 70 RSI and see if this actually does the less likely scenario, which is to put a new high on the momentum, because the most likely scenario is a move like this. With that move, with this top and this top, you could see something like this still, yeah, and that produces bearish divergences. So that is the most likely scenario if we are in that channel. If we break the 70, we put on the table more upside. But at the moment, we have a weekly breakdown. So careful with that momentum breaking down and not reclaiming. Right, let's go with the next one. This is going to be privacy coin. It's called ZEC, Zcash. And this one is an opportunity potentially coming in, okay? And we have an opportunity. There's some risk rewarding here to be had, I think. First of all, we have a rally from the golden pocket at the moment going on. when do we have rallies on privacy coins? Do you know? Typically, they tend to align with profit taking from Bitcoin. When Bitcoin puts a local top, people take out money from exchanges and they put it in privacy coins, so no one knows where it's going. And yeah, many people do that, and that's why I feel like we've been seeing some of these privacy coins pumping on local tops. So if this is a local top, you can get double signal. Maybe it's a local top for Bitcoin, and that benefits Zcash with some additional upside. So far, it has done already 12% from the golden pocket. And on the weekly, we are still defending this upside. We have already had a massive move up in here, so you can see what is currently the trend. We already peaked at 95 on the weekly, so currently we are having now some cool down. This might be just a dead cat bounce, but still some upside to be had. Longs were at 90, the highest it's been since listing, and socials have been at the highest. 4% of all social networks everywhere in the world, we're talking about Zcash, and that is massive. Think about this. It's never been more than 0.3%, and it made it to 4%. That's a huge spike of attention. And when you get too much attention, you get people trapped. Then you have to squash them back. I'm in no way saying that this is the end, because we're getting very close to weekly support in here. So weekly support is currently at 49 and we are at 56, bouncing into 61. So, much better risk to reward than entering at the top. I sold at 650. I don't remember. I need to check in my wallet, but I sold it all. I noticed that it was pumping like crazy, and another backlist for this cycle, which is great. If you want to trade it for the golden pocket, it might be an opportunity, but after having had this, I will wait for support at 50. So maybe let it a little bit more bleed within the golden pocket and confirm that it's not going to break that 300 and go back below it. I think I'm tracking that 50. Let me see that 50 where it is. So that is 50 in here. That is 260. So if we do the full flash into the bottom of the channel, then you get the price into 260. And let me see some liquidity levels. Actually, I was going to look into liquidity of Ethereum. Going back to Ethereum. Sorry for back and forward, but I didn't cover liquidity of Ethereum. Ethereum, we identified the risk at 2000, but we didn't identify any opportunity for the upside. So if we go in this closer range, we have that liquidity at 2.6 into 2.4. All of that enter around here. So that's your immediate risk. And where do we get something as big as 2.5? Or at least the cumulative, because the cumulative in here just gets into here. So that is a move into 2.5 liquidates as many as a move into 3.8. And a move into 4,000 liquidates as much liquidity as being at 2.3. Wow. Okay. And how far are we from 4,600 up, and to 3 is 1,000 down. So with a smaller move of $600, we liquidate the same, getting at 4,000. So that's just important things to note. It's not a definite answer to where are we going to go. And the head and shoulder can definitely get pretty high in here. Let me calculate if that can reach the... No, it cannot get, but it gets us very close to that heavy liquidity of 5,000. I think to get into that liquidity of 5,000, really Bitcoin needs to show some strength first. Where Bitcoin is right now, no way we get there. if Bitcoin stays at this range, Ethereum is just gonna starve. It won't have enough liquidity to get there. But with a Bitcoin pump, with quantitative easing confirmed in some huge injections of cash, yeah. But that's not becoming more valuable. Ethereum is just devaluation of the dollar, right? So it's just moving up because of that. Right, let's go back into Zcash. And let's see if we can identify some liquidation levels. In the meantime, let me see the questions. BTC is in the process of increasing in 2026. BTC is a reference for increases in the crypto world. I think this is the season you take your profits and run in every trade, spot or leverage. I agree with that, but there's always a caveat. I'm always aware that all seasons end, and all seasons end with most of the people disappointed. So when everybody starts doing that thing, always keep an eye for when is it stop gonna doing that, because it's very likely that eventually one of these times that people take profits, some market makers, they just keep running up. And it can be extended for longer than we were expecting. When they get us used to something being disappointing, that's the moment that they click the button and they say, now it comes, the move that is not disappointing. So we need to be paying attention to data and paying attention to momentum, paying attention to everything we can to try to spot that. To be honest, I'm not trying to time perfectly that. I just think that eventually it's going to come. And that's why I keep riding my long. We're here for the wisdom, review ETFs as well. So that's supportive for doing ETFs. Let's go into Zcash liquidity. On the 3-month, let me see if that's all I get. Yep, unfortunately, yes, we got a liquidation at 480. That is aligned with Bitcoin grabbing potentially that 95. Let me rephrase that. Not necessarily, because Bitcoin can take profits, can become a local top, and then people start using this network, and that could bring the price up. So we don't need Bitcoin really to rally. This is kind of a counter trade against Bitcoin. In many cases, it works out like that. So that is on the table. It's the heaviest level of liquidity. Let's go with the next one, which is going to be an AI token. It's called Tau, Bittensor. And let's see what we can find on this coin. That's been going just sideways, and I don't think there's anything fundamentally broken with the coin. There's some news coming in as well, like Bittensor's halving next week expected to boost Tau price, Grayscale says. So there's a halving coming in, and let's try to identify some important levels. For me, there's opportunity around this line in here because it's been bouncing from this channel. Let's ignore this line. I think this one is not adding much value anymore. So this is expanding like that, and we are kind of in that channel. I think this is the right reading. We are at the moment at a weekly support. It's important. It's a weekly support, and I'm gonna reshape these things. We're gonna do TA. This is live. We're doing it together. We got this channel, but there was that fake out there. So is this expanding? I guess so. It's expanding similarly to what we saw on the momentum. So this is a weekly support. It's below the point of control. It's bearish, but if it holds 264 and the incoming support of 244, so call it that band, because obviously this can extend and you can reach that by continuing extending the line, right? If you get there and you're still within the pattern, that could be an opportunity for accumulation. So I'm gonna leave it this area of value, and let's go into, well, that could rally into 494 and hit the highs again. I'm not even going to talk about upside there because for that we really need a lot more from this market, and we're trying to squeeze the last lemon drop of juice. Anyways, so longs are at the bottom end. That's another area of value. It's aligned with that weekly support. So of course, it's a support. It's not guaranteed it's going to hold. If you break this, you go into a new range. If you break this, you go into a new range. But something tells me that if we get that quantitative easing, we might get a squeezing here, because this coin hasn't done much. It's just going sideways into 700. So maybe a surprise rally is on the table. Let's look at liquidity. I don't think I have it here. Nope, I don't have it here. Let's go with plan B. In the last 3 months for Bittensor, what do we have? We have a heavy level at 338, and immediately below the price, we have 270. So this one is 86K, this is 38K, this is 83K. So we are kind of in a sandwich of liquidity at the moment. Obviously, the closest one to the price at the moment is 270. So there is an opportunity to pinch that. And let me go back to the chart and let me do a closer look to the daily. Okay, on the daily, there's an ongoing reversal. So there is a double bottom formation in here. Yeah, so price is reacting to that weekly support and it's producing bullish divergences in here, double bottom, an incoming breakout there. It's going to face resistance very soon on the daily at 55. It's going to come into that level there, which is probably going to align with the point of control somewhere here in the middle if it plays out, if we hold that weekly support. So obviously you prefer to buy at the support, and at the moment on the daily is already ahead. On the weekly, still in the area of value. So weekly time frame, still opportunity. Daily, a little bit late for entry. Let's go with the next one. And by the way, guys, if you're an elite member, I'm going to keep open the elite members chat in the community tab on Patreon. So feel free to write down your questions there during the live, because on YouTube, I don't know which one is elite. So I'll leave the tab right there open. Just leave me your questions. Those ones obviously have priority. Let's go with UniSwap. That's the next coin. This one is a DeFi coin, and it's been used heavily for trading other assets. And there's been some news recently. There was a DeFi wallet, I can't remember which one, that got hacked. It was like between 100 million and 200 million. Every time there is a hack to one DeFi coin, then the other ones sell off. Here you can see on the weekly time frame that UniSwap tends to have these rallies. Each rally has been achieving lower highs in terms of momentum. So we are kind of in a channel like this. What happened with the line? It's somewhere like that. And we have already broken out in here, and it happened the same with Bitcoin. It went to 10 and then it came back to this original price. So this is a painful retest, but it hasn't faken out below the line. Let me see the daily. So daily is rolling up there. Weekly is at support at the lowest level. It's also around below the point of control slightly. So point of control is probably $6. It is below that. Next support is $4. We already liquidated everyone below, and we are coming out from longs versus shorts, an area of opportunity, which trigger at $5, and now we are below that area of opportunity. So longs are being squashed again. What's going on with UniSwap? Aztec Network raises over 60 million in Ethereum with community first token sale. This is not to do with UniSwap. New DePIN protocol rolls out on ZEC proof processing marketplace, not necessarily to do with UniSwap. So there's not a lot going on with UniSwap. Socials are extremely deflated here, and longs have been decimated, and they remain around the area of value. So this could puke a little bit more, and eventually I'm expecting that it could have some move into 60. Let's see that 60 just to quantify that opportunity, not as a forecast, but let's see where it is, to see if it's worth. And going into an RSI, sorry, I didn't catch it properly, 64 actually. So going into RSI 64 on the weekly implies going into around $11 to $12 at the moment. And that means a move of 120%. That move has pretty much already happened here. And we got a higher high, and a lower high. And this is already deflating. So careful with those targets, because it's been disappointing so far. And I think 20 is going to remain the top of this cycle, unless really Bitcoin can go into 130K and do really significant things, of course, using the quantitative easing as an opportunity if it plays out. Let's go to the next coin, but before that, liquidity. Where are you? Maybe I should sing during the live streams and then lose more followers. I do that. I have some songs recorded in the channel. You can find them. Let's find liquidity for UniSwap. Why they don't put UniSwap on trading different? That's really disappointing. It's been since forever. 3 months. Right. Very little liquidity. We have to drop the threshold low to be able to see it, but it is at 6.4 to 6.7. I was looking for finding something at 10, but there is not that much really. So there's an opportunity at 6.4 to 6.7, and there is one at 8.2. Below, the risk is basically to pinch $5. Remember that this is just 3 months, and it basically accounts for Binance having already liquidated everybody, and before that there is nothing, at least not on Binance. Interesting that there is nothing in here. There's been already that level liquidated, which also reduces the need to go to 10. Price needs to go to 11 to make it worth it, and further away, because 10 has already been taken, and the lower end as well has been taken. So that's why we see so little liquidity in here, and which means that market maker requires a lot of energy now at this point. With Bitcoin not doing much, to go that far away is difficult. It's not that easy. They need to inject a lot of cash to get that done. Solana. Let's go with Solana. We still have a few more top market cap. I'm gonna tell you later, but 2 more market caps we have. We have a layer 1, and we have a meme coin incoming as well. Let's have a look at how disappointing Solana has been. That's always the question, pretty much throughout this range in here. Look at that. I mean, you just look at the price action. What do you see? What's the first pattern that you see in here? Or what stage of the market does this look like? To me, even not knowing Solana, no bias here. I just look at this and I see a Cathedral. I see Head and Shoulders, a Bart Simpson. I see loads of things, but none of them scream bullishness. There is an element of bullishness in here if you want, which is hold at 130. That's all I've got, guys. We are holding at 130. We are pending from a thread. We already did hear a liquidity hand. That was a bullish signal. We call it out, and that went into revenge rally. It's done, completed. 230. Now, this is an opportunity if it holds 130. If it holds, great. Otherwise, it could go to here. Not sure. That already got taken. 100 is gone. Liquidity there. So yeah, there might be, but accumulated from April to now. From before, no, it's taken. A lower low from here will mean maybe $60 or between $60 and the previous low, between 60 and 90, makes it worth dumping for market maker into 60. If you extend this like that, like a puke into 60 for bear market. Now, if we hold, what is the opportunity? Let's find opportunity for Solana. Right, this is daily chart. So daily chart, look, we left some speculative moves in here, which were kind of correct. You can see this came for a retest. We got away with that retest, it's done. In terms of the rally on the daily, how healthy this is. So you can pause the video and do the equivalent thing, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and see how are they doing on the daily. So Bitcoin is very close to this. Ethereum is very far up. So there's some sort of momentum outperformance on Ethereum at the moment on the daily. And Solana is doing a little bit more like Bitcoin. Bitcoin did an equal high or a slightly higher high in there. Solana couldn't. So Solana did a lower high and now it's in the process potentially of putting a low there at the most bullish support. That most bullish support is probably going to be around the 120, 126 area. And I was speculating if we can form in here a double bottom, which we still can, but we need to hold at 130. Otherwise, what? We're going to get a triple bottom, which has been the case in the past. Some assets can do a triple bottom. It's not just a joke. It's an actual pattern that can play out. It's still bullish. Yeah, but ideally from 130, we go back into 144 and we start battling with that. If you look at this falling wedge and you compare it with the one on Bitcoin, which one is ahead? Which one is doing things faster? In my opinion, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Solana is behind. If we can complete the full pattern into 165, then we can get a target of $200. But that's kind of too far ahead. It's going to take time to do that. We need to defend this, reclaim the 143. Levels of liquidity are helpful at the moment because they are increasing. You can see like high, higher high, higher high, higher high. So you got that recipe for a big liquidation into 263 potentially. But again, we need Bitcoin to perform to get us that scenario. Although if Bitcoin doesn't perform, you can leave that liquidity there and nothing happens. Risk is between $120 and $91 if this pattern really wants to go for a new low. And for that, we need to look into this area in here. We already been at 93, but we haven't been there since April. Now we're putting a new low. Ooh, Solana looks really ugly. Some bullish things is that we just went below 30 and we are now breaking out. We have a layer 2 breakout. We are defending the most bullish area there, but we really need to contain any more damage than the 130. Remain there, go for 144. Right, let's go with the next, and the next one is Cardano. Let's do Cardano. Guys, we have 77 concurrent viewers, and remember that once I'm done with the TA on these coins, I'm going to review the ones that are in the chat. Right, so Cardano, how is it looking? My God, Cardano, you lost another level. Look, with the flash of October, 10 of October in here, you made it to 27. There was no reason to go this low again. No reason from the point of view of liquidity, because we already took all of that. But still, this came back down and lost the green line, and now it's testing it as resistance. That resistance is more or less at 48. We got 3 green candles, but the most disappointing green candles ever in history. You know, they're extremely flat. They're very distributed at the top. We haven't even been able to go back to 53 cents, which is the neckline. So quite disappointing performance here as well. Let me see the socials. Socials, they're declining. Opportunity from the point of view of longs versus shorts. This lost the support on mid-November. Is coming back up into the 32. So this is below the area of opportunity. It already lost that level. Can it become an opportunity? Let me think about this. You can see I'm asking the questions myself. So that didn't hold there, the 44. You see, after this bounce in there, late October, we were looking for this area to hold and go into 65. You can clearly tell that didn't play out. It wasn't a forecast. It's always a let's search for that opportunity. How could it play out if we hold that support in, which we didn't. So Cardano has lost layer 1, layer 2, and now it's in a layer 3. It's like this. And we need to look for bottom information. So there's a lot of work to do for Cardano in here. We got those levels like that. I don't think we can even target the 65. Because, you know, if we break out from here, meeting up with that line at 80, I don't think we're going to do that this cycle, guys. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry for me, because I'm going to keep this Cardano for another cycle. I didn't sell Cardano. Luckily, it was in a big bag, so I don't mind. But I'm suspecting I'm going to have to call it a loss, my Cardano from the previous cycle. What a piece of crap. Anyways, there were so many channels that were talking every day about Cardano. And you now understand why I don't watch any other YouTube channel. I do all the things in isolation. Just look at the charts and this looks crap, right? But this last cycle was looking crap as well when we were entering the bear market, and they were preaching across all this area how big of an opportunity it was. That's when I learned that fundamentals are utterly crash in crypto. Utterly crash. Yeah, this is bad on the weekly. There could be an opportunity in here, because every time that there is a puke, there is a bounce. Like, for example, this puke into support, bounce a little bit. It lost support, it bounce a little bit. There's always those swings, and each of these swings are opportunities, right? This one moved 54%, this moved 80%. So let's say here you get a deflated one, like 50. Right? In here is from support, in here is from a lost support. And first resistance is going to come around the 40 weekly RSI. So that could help as a reminder to see next resistance. Look at that, we already went there. It's crazy. So that is 48.9. So 49 cents has already been tested right there. We already tested that stupid green line. We've been with this RSI already touching that intra candle. Well, we missed it, but it could happen again. It still can happen again. We don't have any double bottom, anything to grab on from. Let me see on the daily. We have a bullish divergence. We have a breakout on the daily. It's starting in here. And the price action, how does it look? Yeah, we need to defend the 40 cents to maintain this momentum, this breakout on the daily. But that's all we have. From the full list of things I say from ADA, there's like 1 or 2 things that could promise something, and the rest of the things are very under-promising. Next coin, before I get everybody depressed with Cardano, which I think I already did, is going to be Hyperlink. Hyperlink, I'm confusing it with a Chainlink. Hyperliquid, but before we go there, let's look at Cardano. That opportunity to get into $1, a last rally, is what we have from the point of view of liquidity. And unfortunately, we cannot go to the previous cycle to see and understand what we left on the table. But notice that this was rallying in 2022. It went to 1.6. It left liquidity there. And at the moment, the largest one is located between $1 and $1.2. So if you are like me, trapped in this thing, once we get closer to $1, set a stupid alert, because unless you want to keep it for another cycle, if we go into $1.something, I'm going to get rid, despite the fact that this already went into 1.3. If we get there, bye-bye. The same I did with Ethereum at 4.9. Let's go into Hyperliquid. Hype USDT, listed on KuCoin. Let's go into the weekly time frame. Yeah, so there were also patterns of distribution going on in here with a neckline at 35. We did a strong breakdown into 32 below the neckline, and that was calling for a crash into $12. We are progressing on that, possibly getting to 50% of the target sooner. At that point, we're going to meet with a lot of volume in here. So notice that this already saved this crash on October. And if we get there at 24, that is the first area of volume in the volume profile. Support we got at 22, 19, 16, and 12. The full target is 12. And we have already tested that neckline. So there's no reason really to go back to 36 before hitting lower levels. Let me see what else is going on this. So we got that resistance in there. Notice that I should have placed it like this. And I can leave that line as well if we get a breakout from there to track the 62. So a breakout of 43 into 62 will look like this. So if we can climb back into over 30 and hold it as support in here, in this area there, we can bring a move into 55. But so far that $30 is new resistance. So we need to really battle with that. On the left hand side, you can see how much resistance there was at 28. And we are currently, intra-candle below that. So ideally, by the end of the week, you go back above $28. Let's look at liquidity. Nope, it's not there. Hype, 3 months. Hi guys, lots of people joining. People are asking for Cosmos, Atom. From the top of the video, probably I'm gonna pick the first one, pick, and then I'm gonna go with the latest one that appears in the chat if we still have time. We got 84 people on YouTube, and I'm also streaming on X. Right, Hype, we got a liquidation level at 31, then we got 37, 45. Let's see what's the biggest one. I think the biggest one at the moment is 37. Yeah. So it took a long time to lose that 37. You can see in here that it was bouncing, then resistance. And as it flipped into resistance, there were loads of shorts putting the risk there. And since we are now taking that last bit of liquidity on the lower end, there is an opportunity to bounce back into 37, I will say, if not only into 31. We'll see which one is. And If we climb back into 30 or 37, definitely that will be bullish from here, because that will make this guy here break out and then put on the table that move into 60 something, which is a move into $55. But all of that needs to happen, hopefully thanks to that liquidity sitting on the upper end. Next coin is a meme coin. It's called Pump. Right, Pump. This is Pump on the weekly. This is the all-time support, 25.83, as you can see there. Resistance coming in at 37. We are trading within that accumulation area. Longs have increased dramatically from 26 to 42. What happened there? Well, they enter at final support. Let's see if that's gonna hold, because we don't have more information to track there. Look at this. There was a breakout in October. It couldn't even do the revenge into 68. It put a bullish divergence, but it didn't play out. It got sold off into equal low, and it's been holding that 33 RSI. On the price action from top to here, we got that pattern. We exit that. We did something that was supposed to be bullish, right? A retest, but there's no follow through here. And the momentum is just flat. The definition of flat. Sitting at 41 and just oscillating between 50 and 30. Not much going on in here on Pump. Meme coins shows markets activity picking up. Really? Is rally coming out or an exit opportunity? Is the Pump price preparing for a major 220 December rally? I'm sure that if we get positive moves on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then some other altcoins, the meme coins can do something, and they're probably waiting for that. We should probably look into what Doge is doing. I think it pretty much mimics what the Pump is doing, so it's not yet anything going on with the meme coins. Let's see. Can we identify some channel in there? Yeah, there is some sort of sideways channel at the moment like this. So I would love to see a move above 50, a sustained move above 50 RSI. Remember that when I say these things, I don't mean if we go to RSI 50, I will take a long. I don't mean that. I look for support to enter positions with a look into the future of what will I like to see if we bounce from that support, and what I'm looking for confirmation to continue holding. Let me give you an example in here. Let's say 26 is support. Assume that we haven't made the move down into here, because we already did, right? But imagining we are losing support at 37, and I'm really looking for entering support on Pump. I'm really looking for a setup. So what I look first is where is an area that could hold as support. And I will have say, well, 26, because in the past it held. Okay, enter your position, and consider entering there. Look at the liquidity levels that are sitting right there. Try to find a position. And then if you did a great job, that's going to bounce a little bit. Okay, since this is a meme coin, this is a 20%, and this is a 33%. So many people will say, well, give me that 33% is already great. But if you're trading a meme coin, you want a lot of reward, because meme coins come with a lot of risk. So 33% move up on a meme coin is not going to compensate for the total number of losses that you're going to get trading meme coins. So you need a lot more than 33%, because many times you're going to get 60, 70% losses. Yeah, so you need to compensate for that. So that 33 is not great. So you enter in here, you're in profit, and then you say, well, if it goes to this level, it's invalidated, and then, take the small profit, but you didn't take a loss. right? If we go beyond the 31, which coincides with that channel being above that level, then you say, I'm going to continue holding because it broke out. And you start creating a narrative that you envisioned from before. If we get out from this channel, I continue to hold. If we come back below the channel, I just close in a small profit. And that is kind of the way I personally do it. Let's go with the last coin. And this is going to make a lot of people happy. This is the last from Elite, but then I need to do your requests from the live. Oh, look at that. We continue to defend that channel. We got a parallel channel in here. Huge, massive flag. I mean, initially, up until 2.7, you will say, well, this is a clear bull flag. That could be the breakout. Yeah, but it continued to put new lows and lower highs. It's now defending the $2. So that $2 is the night and day at the moment. It looks distributed to me. If you believe that this is going to hold, you are in an area of an opportunity. So any pinch below that climbs back above support is going to put you in a position of advantage if your thesis is correct. And that thesis could do a swipe of the low, climb back above support and rally into the flag. That could be conservative target. And if you break out and retest, you could rally that. I'm not saying it will happen like that, but if A happens, do B. You know, you have to have some sort of script of how you're gonna do this in the bullish case, and more importantly, in the bearish case. So if you enter there and this does not re-enter the over $2 and it pukes to here, well, where are you going to put your stop loss? How much loss are you going to take? Calculate all of that. Or if you're going to DCA it, what levels you like for DCAing. 1.5, $1, and 0.57. You know, those are areas of volume traded, areas that could provide some cushion or could attract the price to there. Right, so $2 is definitely something that we need to hold to invalidate the double top. And there can be also a rally here that can go like this and produce a head and shoulder. It's also possible, a rally into $3, and particularly if it plays out holding that $2 on a weekly basis, we could be seeing something like that. Let me go into XRP. Let's see what we can discover at $3 on the top end. I'm sure we have something. So the biggest liquidity is at 3.4, at 3.6. At $3, we have nothing. Well, there is an order blocking here, and above that, there is the risk of the people that took the short there at 3.1. The risk of this continuing with the bleeding, like if we expand that, notice that this went already into bear market prices. It went already to 1.1. So in Binance, there shouldn't be a lot of liquidity. We took that there. That was already in yellow and red. Sorry, in yellow and in green. And we have created new liquidity, which we can observe below the price if we focus on this. So that is 1.8 into maximum 1.6. So that is the bigger chunk. Liquidating into 1.6 liquidates as many people, as much liquidity as if we go into 2.7. Okay? But going into 2.7 from 2 is 0.7 up, whereas going into here into 1.6 is a 0.4. So you need to move almost twice to liquidate the upper end into 2.7. Of course, you can do that exercise with multiple cumulative levels. You can also argue that if we go into $4, there is no liquidity on the lower end that can take as much as going into $4. Therefore, we have to go into $4. So it's kind of, it's an analysis, right? It's not a crystal ball, definitely, to know where the price is going to go. But it's good to be aware of levels doesn't only matter the peaks, it matters the cumulative. So look at this red line and the green line and see and compare pairs with pairs and apples with apples. XRP has been hinting that it's gonna do a daily breakout in here. It has failed to do so. Let me see, is this part of the RSI? Well, it looked like a drawing from me, but no, it's the actual RSI. Interesting. So we are below that level. We are not yet committing to any sustained breakout on the daily momentum. Therefore, don't even dream yet with the price going into 2.5, which is the top of the channel. We need this guy first to break above 43. So that probably is somewhere at $2, 2.1. $2, 2.1, yeah, and at that point, if you close daily candle there, you can get a breakout on the daily, and that's how we can target top of the channel. If it's really conservative target from bottom of the channel into top of the channel, that's a 32. So if this pukes a little bit more and it takes that 1.7, that could provide an opportunity to try to do something to the upside. I wouldn't short this piece from this price range. You see how much it increases sharply up. So the problem with that is that if you take a short in here and then market maker notices that Bitcoin is pumping, then they're gonna be really hungry to take the next and the next and the next and the next. So you're gonna have to really deploy a plan for surviving a potential pump into almost $4 and beyond that, if there is some upside to be had in this market, really. So that's why from here, no, I didn't short from there, but I sold, I think on this top at 2.7, and I got rid of everything. So I didn't short there, but the best position would have been to short from new highs, definitely. Let's go into your requests. So from the top, I said when I was starting the video, I'm gonna cover the first one that requests a coin. So it's gonna be Peak. Never heard about that, but let's do it. And there's no questions from Elite members in the Elite tab. Let's go with Peak. I'm not sure if you're asking me for crypto, but I'm going to assume it's crypto. Let's see again. It should be Peak. Yep. Okay, cool. Gosh, this is horrible. How can I do TA of this? Well, you got a resistance right there. This used to be support. Support in here. Lost again. Double top. We can. I don't like it. It doesn't give anything really good quality on the weekly. Let's see if we can find something more clear on the daily. There is a breakout on the daily at the moment that started from early December, but it hasn't made any lows, but it's losing, that level traded there, the 0.41. Hopefully it's not going to turn it into resistance. Let's calculate this. So the point of control is 76, but there is a peak there at 40. Has it traded before there? No. This is just formed by the recent price action. And it tested again and it got rejected because of the bearish price action of Bitcoin. The breakout still hasn't broken down. It hasn't faken out. We don't know if this is going to be a pivot. I'm going to leave the line there, but I don't know really where it's going to be the pivot, because this could push lower or, might continue for a few days. No idea. In terms of liquidity, Peak. And remember that the next coin and the last one I'm going to do is going to be whichever coin is in the chat live on YouTube. So make sure that you are the latest to put the coin. Battle for that one. So we do TA of your coin. I'm not, taking the pieces. This is literally to help the channel. So thanks for that. 0.1 has the biggest liquidity. It's pretty far from the price. 0.1. We're at 0.4. That could be an opportunity. And 0.1 is around here. Good. So can this really climb all the way there to 0.1? Let's do the reverse of the reverse RSI. Let's put how high the RSI needs to go so we get into 0.1. Let's dump this slightly higher. There you go. At 79 RSI, we can get to that target of 0.1 to liquidate those dudes. And what's going on at that level? At 89, we already put an 83. So basically what we are asking for to really liquidate that level is that peak puts a high based on RSI doing something like this. So that means a new high. How many highs have we had so far in the cycle since listing? 8th of December 2024 is in line. Whoa, magic. 9th of December, 14th of May 2025, 15th of September 2025, and that 89 is slightly above. What the hell is this coin? Peak tokenized robo farm. Any news? Just crap automated posts. It doesn't even say what it is. I have no idea what is this coin. If you can explain what is this coin. But there is an opportunity to go there. In no way I'm saying we're gonna get there just because I found the magic wound. Definitely not. But if you if you already enter at the lows of the PNR and you accumulated at the lows and you have a little back right there and this thing starts rallying and defending levels, you could get there. I guess it's not gonna be an easy ride because notice the modus operandi of this to the upside. Bounce, fake down, and then it reaches the top. So I guess you need to be very permissive with your trailing to really manage to squeeze the last drop of upside for this. When we have done those things, it doesn't necessarily mean new highs. So RSI is putting new highs, but price is putting lower highs. So this is in already diverting from the price, which is not great. So I'm not fully sure this can make it. All right, the last coin is going to be Atom, Cosmos. Let's go with that one. Oh, look at that. We are just printing a signal on Cosmos at this level. We are with the lowest level of longs that we have had since June 13. That area is here. So pretty much we are mimicking the bottom of the bear market for Cosmos. So in 2021, we reached a peak of 44 and that sold off all the way here. You see it there? Well, now we sold off from 69 back down into 15. So it's pretty much the same level of longs. There's also opportunity on the weekly of pinching and reclaiming the PNR level on the RSI weekly. Let me see the monthly. The monthly is doing this pattern. So hopefully that's gonna break out at some point like this on the monthly. Really sold off. Very high risk, right? But it's an area of accumulation. This could go lower. Let's look at liquidity. What are we sitting on top of? Atom. No, I don't have it. On the 3-month. Well, yeah, this pinch spoiled all the stupid charts of liquidity. We don't have any liquidity below, or it's not easy to spot. We got two levels at 2.5, 2.6, then an area, mild liquidity between 3 and 3.3, and the biggest liquidity is on $3 to $5. $5 is located around here. So for that we need to go back above. No, we don't need to. So a rally from here into $6 or a rally here into $5 is literally a move just there. And I think, so if you do an accumulation around here and then you rally into $5, you're going to be able to trail and squeeze from this pattern any additional upside prior to getting any bullishness. So that is kind of the thing, that the way I prefer to trade. I don't wait for this dude to be here, to enter a trade. I look for support, and currently we're sitting at monthly support, and the weekly is at weekly support with the PNR, and it's printing at delta. The last time we did that was in here. That was a rally of 168% during the bear market. Don't know. And don't know if we can do that much. We got resistance at $5 with the point of control. Then we have another level at $9 to $10. That's another resistance, but definitely worth looking into those opportunity areas. Let me see if there's any other question. Oh, you got a lot of coins, and let's do one more. Let's do Aptos. I think it's like this. Let me see. Am I doing the correct one? Yes, Aptos, correct. All right, so Aptos. Yeah, Aptos already did that third hit that we were looking for. So we were wondering if it's gonna just stop there again, and it did. And it did it by hitting the 5.5. Right after that, it repeat modus operandi. So hit the line and come back down, hit the line, come back down, hit the line, come back down. But this time it lost the 38. That was the kind of the area of support on the weekly. So this is now at 31. Where is 38 if you face it as resistance? Just to know, if we climb back above 38, 39, then we can get a rally again into that line, and that line at this point is at 48. So let's track those two levels, 39 and 48. And yeah, those coincide with the previous support of the full cycle and the potential to climb back into bull cycle mode and get into 48 and then face that final resistance. And if you get a lot of luck at this time in the cycle, a breakout there, which I'm definitely not calling for. So that for that we need to go back above 2.4. 2.4 means that resistance, that 38 that was holding the price all cycle. Then if you break above that, you have upside into 3.5, 3.48, and that makes a lot of sense. If you focus on the price, you can see that this was declining in here and hitting that level, hitting the level, hitting the level, and then basically what the price action is saying is that if you can come back above that level above the 2.4, you could then face this guy there, and then with a way lower likelihood you can come back inside the triangle, which is containing all the structure at the moment. All right, guys, that's the last TA. This was 1 hour 20 minutes. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. If you did, hit the like, write down comments as well if you're watching this recorded. If you are an elite member, remember that you can always join and vote for the coins, and always make sure that your coins are being reviewed. For that, you can join the Patreon and become an elite member. And my next task today is to look for other perks that the members are currently suggesting, to see if we can, increase the value to the maximum, potentially, adding some private videos, TA video of general markets, strategy for the bear market, and all of those goodies that I want to offer to elite members. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.